So the spirits want to talk about energy, and they want to really give us the image of a vase. I mean, in my mind, you know, you probably have your own vase. In my mind, I have a beautiful yellow vase, and it's quite porcelain. It's really beautiful, and it's flawless. You know, perhaps it's got some beautiful flower patterns on it, but it's really flawless. It doesn't have any cracks in it. It doesn't have any holes in it. You know, let's assuming we fill it with water for our flowers. You know, you really don't want it. You really don't want any cracks and leaks in it, because the energy. Imagining that our energy is contained within this vase skin, if you like. Our spiritual body, our subtle body, sometimes it's called that. But this is to imagine our energy is within this vase. Now, as we go along in our lives, our vases kind of get battered and banged and dented, and we move them, we make a crack over there, we puncture a hole in it. And, you know, as we go along in life, our vases can look pretty rough. I mean, coming from abuse myself, I know myself that my vase probably was so filled with holes, you know, and the result of that, of course, is a huge amount of leaking of energy. And there are these beings that have moved into the other human beings, the darker spirits who don't have their own bodies anymore, who will move into human beings who have those same emotions going on, and they will eat all that energy. You know, they'll feed off the energy of other light, bright, energetic beings, and that's how we lose our energy. But fundamentally, we have to lose it ourselves first. We have to make the hole in our own. It gets done to us. The break is made in our vase by abuse or predatory behaviour on us, and then the feelings that have then been instigated around these events, our own deep feelings, will create these spiritual holes in our subtle body, big gaps and fissures and breaks, and that's the aim of the game for the darker spirits, because there are darker spirits, all sorts of spirits. Anything that has died moves around as an energy, and as energy ourselves. In truth, the truth is, we talk about this as the nagal and the tonal. The nagal, as the truth of it is that the nagal, more of our subconscious, our inner self, you know, can be filled with these holes. But the spirit world is very much like a fungi. The darker spirits that have died, they're like fungi, and no energy is wasted. Energy will be, when we start leaking our energy, you can be sure that that hole will be plugged by some kind of energy being that will be sucking that and feasting from it. It's a great feast for them. You know, it pumps up their energy. It's stolen energy, yes, but everything in this world will do anything to survive. It's survival. So it's a complicated picture. And then in another way, it's very simple as well. This idea of this energy vase that we are, and that the more holes, more gaps, more breaks that we have going on, imagine the water level in the vase. It's a simple analogy, really. The water level starts, perhaps it starts there, or didn't start there, perhaps it started down there, perhaps it's up there. And the more holes and the gaps you've got in it, the more leaks you've got, the energy will slowly. It might stay at that level all our lives, it might stay at that level all our lives. If we resolve our deep wounds, if we really look at them, feel them again, and forgive whatever feeling we've got associated with those wounds, we will, instead of putting little plasters over these holes, we will actually seal up the subtle body the holes that have been punctured through the subtle body, the vase. We will heal them up. And what will that mean? It will mean a lift of energy, because that energy that was being poured out into those darker feelings we were having, they were anger, bitterness, shame, whatever those feelings were that we were pouring out, or any kind of situation that triggered that shame or triggered whatever, that energy will no longer be pouring out, because we would have contained it, forgiven it, understood ourselves, in a sense loved ourselves, where what was predating on us was stealing energy from us. So the darker spirits move in and out of predatory types of people, or people who are perhaps just having a predatory moment or a hate moment, those spirits will move in and out, and it will build that feeling, because everything is trying to feed from, these darker spirits will try to feed around us. So we're here in this world, hopefully in this perfect vase, and we know ourselves that when we start pouring our energy out in certain distractions, phones or internet and other, there are so many, this world is just like a mass of distractions, unless we focus on our inner vase, if you like, and we start looking at it. And more importantly, we start focusing on healing our wounds, because of course the law of attraction will only give us what we have inside. It can't give us anything else. And the brain will equalize that default position as well. It can't take us anywhere else. It can't take us anywhere except our default position of energy. Let's say we're at the 50% in the vase. The brain can only give us experiences within that 50% of the vase energy. It can't take us on to the next. So we do spend a lot of time wishing we could have this or do this or feel that way about something. But unless we've changed our energy, we won't be able to reach that next rung of the ladder. It's all about energy. If we've depleted our own energies, there are so many ways we deplete our energy, and the brain will keep us in that lower energy pattern. It may use delusions, like if our suffering was very intense, we may create all these stories of delusions around certain situations and avoid other situations. But we may make believe things, and our brain will be doing this for us. It will be, if it knows that we need that kind of reality to cope, it will give us that, it will paint that picture for us. So all of that is very high consumption of energy, which will keep us on that certain rung of that ladder. And we want the next rung of the ladder. We want to keep on reaching up and growing. We want to keep on shifting our reality and seeing more of what we want, and taking more and more happiness from within. The only way to do that is deep, deep, deep in that spiritual vase, and really the traumas and the suffering that we've gone through, they will be held in the body, in parts of the body, and they will relate to parts of the body, and may even cause illness and sickness in parts of those body, in parts of our body. Injuries, recurring injuries, that kind of thing. In certain areas where we are leaking energies, that will be where we get perhaps recurring injuries or illnesses. And so we have to, our priority really, we can't get to the next rung of the ladder. We cannot change things on the outside. We think, oh, we can change that and change it. We can't. We can only change the inside. The outside, it looks like when we did that, it changed. But when we think about it, when we really analyze it, we see that actually the shift was internal, first of all. The shift was always internal, first of all. Even a flutter, a small shift, but it was internal. and then the outside then changed and reflected, and we just kind of feel different. We're not quite sure why we feel different, but that's when the shift has happened. And it can be a lifetime's, work. It usually is a lifetime's work to heal, not just to put sort of plasters, And when we avoid situations, and when we delude ourselves that something's wonderful when it isn't, or we're kind of putting plasters over these holes in our vase, these fissures. We're putting plasters. They're temporary. What's the word? Solutions. They're temporary solutions to a problem, to an energy leak that will keep on and on running and spinning and rolling and running, and it'll go back to it. It'll always end up going back to that same. If you're one of those people, you always end up with that happening to me again and again. That person always ends up shouting at me like that, or there's always that certain situation that keeps repeating. So we have to look back at the trigger, where it's coming from in our body, where it's coming from, and where that leak is in our vase. We mend that, everything changes, everything shifts, and it's the most wonderful thing. Yeah.